RWBY Volume 5, Chapter 2, Dread in the Air. Now, this was a really good episode. First off, I would like to note that it was also 21 minutes, so I don't know if that means we're actually getting, this will officially be our first volume where it's, 20-minute episodes all the way through, but I was very surprised. Normally it's like, okay, yeah, it's the premiere, and, past couple of volumes I was like, oh, we're gonna have it that way. But I figured, alright, it's the premiere, that's just how it is. Rest of the episodes come out, maybe 13 to 15 minutes. And then this one came out and it was like, nope, it's still 21 minutes. So I don't know if this is finally the volume, if this is the day we've been waiting for, if you will. But I was super happy to see that it was actually a 21-minute episode, because I was expecting, 13 to 15 minutes. We got like an extra 5 in there. So I was like, that's really great. I love that for sure. And then the content within the episode was phenomenal. It started off pretty simple, where it was just, the story elements of what the villains are up to and how things are, starting to progress. And I was like, okay. So we have Lionheart, he's officially meeting with Watts in this episode, and they end up talking to Salem and Cinder through like the little seergram. I was like, okay, pretty simple. They're just talking, this is what's happening, and nothing super crazy. But then it got to the part where Lionheart was like, you need to hurry and stuff, because Crow and his little group, they're gonna try to get there first. And then he gets choked out by the little tentacles, and it kind of went in line with what I said during the premiere, where I was like, I feel like what they're going to do with Lionheart's character is that he'll be, the cowardly lion, and eventually he'll get courageous, and then he'll help the heroes out, but that'll end up getting him killed. That was my theory. And then just in this episode alone, Salem chokes him out because it was like, you were really cowardice, and now you've been acting pretty brave as of late. And I was like, interesting. He's not even helping them yet, and he's getting choked out for just talking a little fast. Like, that's all he did, was just like, he was basically just giving her a serious warning, like, you should hurry because they're trying to get there first. And I'm like, dang, he got choked out for that. He probably is gonna die. It might not be this volume, or however long it takes for them to get to the point where he makes that decision. But I was like, I feel like when it ultimately comes down to it, based off of this interaction, and that was my theory to begin with, and the him dying thing was mostly because things have gotten dark and people die, clearly, with this episode. But that was just like a little thing where I was like, I just assume he'll die because things have been dark lately. And then this episode, he gets choked out, and he talked a little fast, and I was like, I might not have been wrong. He might not be making it too far into the rest of this series, but he gets choked out, and everything's fine. Watts is basically commissioned to make Tyrion another tail, so I'm very curious about that, because I was like, I wonder what's going to happen, with his character now. So I don't know, for some reason in my head I instantly go like classic Terminator style, where you get a robotic arm and it's like just silver, but we've already seen Yang get an arm and it wasn't like that. Although it's changed, because it was like a plain white arm and they kind of changed it and she painted it and stuff. But I'm curious. I definitely can't wait to see how they do that and what this weird new version of his tail is going to end up being. So I'm definitely looking forward to that, which probably won't happen until like later in the volume, because we got other characters to focus on now. So they probably won't be focusing too much on characters that we saw that actually, got a bit of focus in the last volume. We'll probably see Tyrion, but I don't know if he'll get like a ton of focus, unless we get episodes like this in the last one, where everything's 20 minutes, and those extra, like 5 to 7 minutes per episode, that can actually make up a lot of, extra story time. So we could see him depending on how the length of the episodes continues for the rest of this volume. But that was a cool little moment, and like I said, that was kind of, really that, I would say, was the simplest portion of the whole episode. It was the villains talking and, kind of going forward and trying to figure out what their next, what their next idea is going to be with their plan. And then it cuts to Weiss, who really didn't have a lot in the premiere. She had literally one scene and that was it, which it was good to see her, but of course it was a very small sequence. But this episode ties into that scene, because as she and the pilot are going through like these little floating islands, they actually end up coming across the people that were sending out the distress signal in the last episode. So they end up coming across them anyway, and we get to see Lancer Grimm, which, I don't know about you guys, but I mean, once you get to like basically Hornet Grimm, the next step for me is like Spider Grimm, and it's like, I was just like, you got Hornets, I hate that, and the next step to like the worst for me would just have to be spiders. I'm not like, I don't have arachnophobia, but it's just like, if that's what the Hornets are like, what the for the spider's going to be like. So I don't know, that was just crazy. And so they're flying through these floating islands. Technically we don't see it there, but there's quite a bit of death in this episode. It's not just the ending where it's like really shown off. It was like the ship flying past them where they have to dodge it, it crashes into the island, and the woman's freaking out. I was like, we just lost them, and then like we've been hooked and they're pulling the ship apart. And then one one of the Lancers like just dive bombs like through the ship, and it just blows up, and all those people are dead. It's just like, oh man. And then of course it's like, oh, check it out, there's another ship, and of course Weiss and this pilot have to survive, which was a really good action sequence where, of course, what Weiss loads up her weapon, she puts the dust in, and I love that we got to see a bit of variation with her powers, because one of my favorite things is that with Weiss's abilities, she can do a ton. Like, she can move at super speed, she can run up walls, she can let other people run up walls, like in Volume 1 with Players in Pieces. Like, that was the first big fight, and it was like, she can hold you in place, she launched RWBY, she like made the track up the side of a mountain, and there's like so many things she can do with their power. So it's cool that we got to see her use like the black glyphs to like keep herself in place, and she tried to use them to slow down the ship when they were crashing. We got to see her go through a lot of the different elements. So we got to see wind, we got to see fire, we got to see ice. I would have loved to see lightning, but I'm just a sucker for like anything like lightning power based. But she goes through, she's taking out the Lancers and stuff, and they think they're free, and then this Queen Lancer comes in, and it's just this giant freaking bug, and it can actually like shoot like needles out of the side of his face. So it's extra dangerous, it takes all the damage, and of course she kind of releases the cargo on it, and it seemingly, she destroys it because she hits all the dust at one time, and it causes like a huge elemental storm, and I thought it was frozen and fried and all that stuff, and it kind of just kept on going. So of course it gets down to this final moment, and she summons her knight. I don't know if they're officially calling it a familiar or not. I guess it's not a familiar because it's different every time. She can make it whatever she wants, but she summoned her knight, and that was so cool. That was such a great sequence, because I was surprised. I figured we'd get to see it. I thought she was still practicing though, and like I know that was the point of the last volume, is that she'd been practicing and stuff like that, but it was still like, oh, she did it once. I didn't think it was just like boom, she's had like actual mastery of it, but she totally does, and it was more than what we'd seen before, because she summons it, and it's just a knight without the sword at first. And so they move the ship, and the knight jumps out, and then the sword summons, which I thought was really cool because we hadn't seen that before. I was like, oh, I guess it's not going to have the blade, but she can summon extra things after she summoned the knight itself. So then it's dropping, and then it deteriorates, and I thought it was like, oh, she lost focus, and then it turns out no, she can actually deteriorate it and re-summon it. She has the skills to have it come out of the different glyphs, and I thought that was such a cool moment, because I just assumed, because we hadn't really seen the power fully developed yet, that it was still in its base form, where it's like she summons it, however it comes out, that's what it is, and then it does its job, and then it goes away. And it's like, nope, she summoned the sword after the fact, it disappears in mid-air, and then it was kind of like a DBZ thing, like when Goku was fighting Cell. That's what it made me think of for some reason, because like it went away, and then it came up behind the Queen Lancer. And so then it's jumping around, and it's kind of like what Weiss does when she makes the glyphs, and she jumps around and hits people. It's like her classic move. So she does that with the knight, and then ultimately it actually, I think the final cut was from behind. It didn't drop, it like jumped up and split it in half, and I was like, that was super cool. So I love getting to see that, because it's already more advanced than I thought it was going to be, and I was like, well, that's fantastic. That's actually really, really cool. And then I get to my favorite character. Adam is in this episode. I didn't think they were going to do this scene this early in the volume either, but we have Adam and Hazel going to Sienna Khan, and I hope every cat in this series has 9 lives, because I saw her, and I'm not going to lie, me being black, I was like, I want her to live. I'm not going to lie, that's just how I felt, because I was like, oh, we don't have like too many like black characters in the show. So I was kind of hoping that she would live a little bit longer, but she came in, and Adam goes in, and we get to see her, and I was like, okay, she's super cool. I'm curious what she can do as far as fighting and all that stuff. And Adam comes in. I've been waiting. That's all I'm ever talking about. I was like, I want to see Adam. Where's Adam? What's he doing? How evil is he gonna be? And he kind of kept it in line. He came right in, and it was like, you know what? Last time I was here, I helped destroy an entire city, chopped off an arm, tried to chop off a head. That didn't work. So I think I'll just straight up murder somebody this time, and that's exactly what he does. He comes in, he's doing his evil thing, we get to see him in his new outfit and everything, so that was cool. And he brings, we find out that he brought Hazel, along for the ride, and Sienna was mad. She was super pissed off, and it was like, you brought a human to this location, so like she is the leader of the White Fang at this point. And so she talks to him about how, and it was really funny, because when she said it, I thought exactly of what he said after, she found out that her people were against her. But when she said, like, a lot of people look to you as, like, basically a figure of the White Fang, and I was like, that's not good for you, because that's exactly what I was thinking, and it plays out much faster than I expected. But as soon as she said that, I was like, that's not really good, because he's trying to do his own thing. And of course, that's what happens. He goes through his whole speech, and it's like, the humans should serve the faunus and stuff like that. And she's like, I was the first one to say, yeah, violence against violence, but not like this, where you destroy an entire town, and it doesn't really give us that, that much of the benefit in anything. And now we're just giant targets. We're targets more than we've ever been, and we didn't really gain anything. We just destroyed the city. And that's it. That's all that really happened. And so she's like, well, we're not going to do this. So says the queen. And Hazel comes in. He was super confident, because she was like, the longer you stay here, the less chance you have of leaving alive. And he was like, I'll take those chances. So I don't know how tough this dude is, and I don't know if it's all just hand-to-hand combat with him, like they kind of showed a little bit in the opening with him versus Nora and Ren, where he just blocks it, like he's just using his hands. So it's like, I don't know if his semblance is like legitimately just super strength, like kind of how Yang has kinetic and potential energy using super strength. He's just like, I just got it, super strength, it's instantaneous for him or what. But he's super confident. He was just like, yeah, no big deal, whatever. So of course she listens to him, and they go through, and then Adam goes through his speech, and she's like, all right, I've heard enough. Guards take him away, and they just stand there, and I was like, oh, that was fast. That was way faster than I thought. And then the people burst into the room, the people behind pillars and stuff, and they're wearing like the new, because I thought it was really interesting, I didn't think about this in the last volume, the fact that whenever we see the White Fang and Adam kind of incorporated with that, or even Blake for that matter, it's like the White Fang from the beginning of the series, when they're in like the all white outfits with the red on the back. But we get to see in the last volume, in this one, that they're like sort of natural outfits, I guess, are not kind of like militarized, I guess is the best way to put it, because it's like everyone is almost wearing like the same sort of outfit. And in this case, it feels more organic. It's just like, it's more of a tribe rather than like an army. And that's why I feel like the white suits with the tag on the back is more the army style. And seeing, kind of like with Ileana when she's with like the two sort of priest dudes, and then in this episode where we see basically the Queen of the White Fang and then her guards, it feels more organic and more like a tribe that's sticking together rather than an army. So I thought it was interesting kind of having that juxtaposition, like just within the costumes. It was something I never really thought of before until seeing the two different sides of the costumes together, where it's like, oh, this is what we've known from 1, 2, and 3, where it's the militarized version of the White Fang, and they have like, the white outfits with the red, and then this is the organic tribal side, where it's still got the roots of what the White Fang used to be, where it's just like, we just band together, and it's just people wearing, organic clothing. It just had that sort of sense to me of like a tribe rather than an army. And I thought that was a cool little thing that, for some reason, I guess I never picked up on it because I never really thought about the costumes like that. But like I said, seeing them together, I was like, oh, that just like, it just clicked in my head how it was meant to look different on purpose, where it's like army versus tribe. So I thought that was really cool. And of course, I thought there was going to be another actual fight, because she, she's surrounded, and I was like, I can't wait to see what she can do, because she's the queen. I figured there's some sense of like super cool abilities and stuff. And she goes in, and or she, everybody comes in and she sees what's happening. So it's like, okay, what's she gonna do here? And it's like, well, if you think, I'm gonna kind of stand by you, you're crazy. And before she can even finish, she's just run through with the katana, and I was just like, crap, she's dead already. I thought I'd get more of her, and that's very unfortunate. And I hope, like I said, I hope every cap on this has 9 lives in this, in some way, shape, or form. Maybe she is alive. I just want to keep that hope, but I don't know. I kind of doubt it. I highly doubt it, actually, just because the show's been dark. It is what it is. The queen is gone, and now Adam is there as the king, and I can't wait to see how that plays out. I don't know if that means we'll get to see him less now, because I was super excited, and then he killed her and took over, and he has like his almost like Scarface moment where he like sits down and stuff. So I'm like, does that mean we won't get to see him again? I really hope not. I hope he's like, he's out there fighting still. But I thought it was a crazy way to kind of head towards the ending, and then that wasn't. I mean, I don't know. Maybe it was the craziest part. I don't know. The last 2 scenes were just absolutely nuts, because he kills her. And even Hazel was like, nobody had to die today. And, Adam being Adam, like super evil, was like, I think somebody did. I was like, I disagree on that. So he's kind of just the king on the throne right now. And then it cuts back to Weiss and the pilot. We don't know what happened with him, but the ship crashes and she sees some people walk up to her and they're bandits. And so it's like, okay. And she looks up, and so they're like, what do you think? And then Raven walks into the scene and is like, I think we just hit the jackpot, and she knocks Weiss out. And I was just like, I did not see that coming. To have Weiss with Raven completely changes the dynamic. And this is funny, I was just talking about this. I never got to upload, I think I actually did mention this in my last review. I'm gonna try to do live reactions for every episode of this volume. I just had a huge issue where, even though everyone does this on YouTube, I uploaded my reaction for the first episode, instantly blocked worldwide, and I was like, I don't understand, like, is the audio, like, I talk more than other people do in their videos. I don't know what the problem was, but I got hit. I don't know, small YouTubers just always get hit with crap that other bigger YouTubers don't. But I was just like, well, that sucks. I spent, I did a whole reaction for the first premiere, and it's just not uploaded. So I'm going to try to upload another version of it today to see if it'll actually go up. But when I was doing that video, I was like, from the premiere, it's like, okay, we have the promo, or we have the opening to go off of based on what characters are going to interact. But that will change based on how the story, continues. It's like, depending on which character gets to which location first can change my theories. Depending on which characters actually meet can change my theories. And this was exactly what I was thinking of, where we have a character in Weiss where I never would have thought that she would end up running into Raven. Not like this, not in this volume, even, like, at all. And then, basically, she's going to be held ransom, which I don't think that'll really matter because her father sucks. Who knows about her mother? She seems to be like a missing alcoholic from what we got before. But I did not expect that. So that, like, completely changes the entire dynamic of how I think things might play out for this volume, because we have, of course, Yang still trying to meet her mother. Then, of course, we have Cinder eventually is going to get to where the bandits are, and she's going to be trying to fight against the Spring Maiden. So there's a lot to kind of look forward to with that interaction. Now, like, even more so, I was already most excited to see what was going to happen with the characters at the camp because of who was headed there, both heroes and Yang, and then villains with Cinder. And now it's like, alright, Yang and Weiss are going to be there, and Yang is going to get there with Weiss being held captive, and who knows what that means with her dealing with her mom, who has this obligation as a leader to these bandits, but also, well, I mean, clearly she doesn't give a crap about obligations of being a mother, because she even said it, I think it was, in the last volume of The Crow, it was like, hey, when you see Yang, tell her that was it. Like, tell her I helped her once and I'm out. It's like, you suck as a parent, but we'll see what happens with her as a bandit leader. But that was a great way to end it, and it's not at all what I was expecting. So definitely looking forward to next week. Of course, would love to know what you guys thought about this episode, so please comment below. Let me know your favorite parts about it, your least favorite parts about it. I definitely want to know your theories now that we've seen Weiss get captured by Raven and the bandits. How does that change what you thought was going to happen for this volume? Because it really threw me off. I was like, okay, we're going to have some interesting interactions. There's going to be Raven and Yang. They have their emotional stuff. Yang doesn't like Cinder. No big deal. Yang teams up with the bandits, Raven, and the Spring Maiden, and they fight against Cinder. That seems simple enough. And then you have Team Ranger and Crow and Oscar, and they're kind of going towards doing the same thing. So it's like, okay, good guys fight the bad guys. Ultimately they would team up to beat Cinder, and then they'd have their little issues with getting the Spring Maiden. And now it's like, alright, the dynamic has changed, because there will be no, oh, you're my mom, and I'll help you fight against Cinder, who's my enemy. It's like, you're my mom, but you kidnapped one of my best friends, and then Cinder comes in, and it's just like a three-way battle. It's like, well, I don't know what that means anymore. So we'd love to know your theories on how that's going to play out, what you guys thought about this episode in general. Like I said, I don't know. Depending on how things play out with this reaction, I really wanted to do it because it was like my second viewing reaction, so it was kind of like me doing reviews, but even more in-depth stuff because I was watching the episode, so I wouldn't skip over anything. So if I can figure that out, I will try to have that uploaded this week. I wanted to have it uploaded, like, it was like Monday where I was doing that, or I guess yesterday, like working on a Sunday night. But I wanted to have it uploaded as soon as it finished. It was blocked worldwide, so I don't know if I'm going to be able to, like, if that's going to work. I did the dispute, but I went and edited another version anyway just to see if I can get past the copyright issues that seem to be plaguing me, but like no one else on YouTube, because everybody's doing reactions, and it's like, I don't understand how mine is just blocked completely. So I don't know. But yeah, I would try to, have that dealt with, but I will be, doing my reviews. This Thursday, I will be doing RWBY Grim Eclipse, so if you guys want to check out the first episode of that, it will be coming out this Thursday. And I had a good time with that. I've only done one episode so far, but check that out if you guys are interested. Like I said, we'd love to know your theories on what's going to happen with the camp storyline now, and of course, what you guys thought about this episode in general. So please comment below, let me know, and thanks for watching.